Howdy there, I'm Nat McKinley and we're burning daylight.
Morning, daylight burners. How we feeling today? As you can see, I finally retired my old palm leaf. It was still in good shape, just a little bit on the stanky side. Has a little bit ripe. So anyway, I ordered a couple from our friends Amber and TJ Clark. Amber's got a little kind of home boutique deal that she does, and she kind of caters to the Western lifestyle, and that's where I got my hats from. She's a Sunbody dealer, and you should go check her out. It's like Las Banditas Clothing, I believe, or something like that. I'll make sure and tag her in this episode. But yeah, she can print shirts and shit. She does a good job. But anyway, got me a shiny new hat, and it's kind of nice. So I think we got a couple good interviews lined up this week. I got my good buddy Clint Mandel coming on later this week, and then this evening I'm gonna interview. Well, not really interview, as you know. I don't interview. We just talk. So I'm gonna visit with a friend. I know her as Erin Franks. I guess she is Erin Martinez now. It's been a while since we've seen each other, but anyway, she was a friend of mine in college, and she's kind of just been living life the best way. So I've been kind of living vicariously through her Facebook news feed, and it'd be good to catch up with her and have a chat. She's a pretty cool gal. So anyway, we got that coming, and I'm gonna go saddle a pony and talk in your ear a little bit. So stay tuned.
Alright folks, I have got some really big news. Like huge news. And you're going to want to be sitting down for this one. Probably buckled in, maybe get a neck brace or something so like you don't snap your neck from the convulsions of shock you're about to have. And if you withstand and survive the initial shockwave of this news that I'm about to give you, well then you might want to go get yourself a bucket of popcorn and and a cold beverage of your choice, whatever that may be, because you're gonna enjoy this little story, I think, and it's got some details. So, that being said, are you braced? I have solved the Seth Rich murder, and in doing so, I have solved the origins of this Trump-Russia collusion investigation. Alright, if you're still listening, you survived. Let me give you a little backstory. So we're going to go back in time to 2016. July 10th, 2016 to be exact. And we are at the apartment of Mr. Seth Rich. And for those of you who, this is kind of a political junkie story, so, you heard about it on Fox News. Whether you paid much attention to it or not, who knows. But I wouldn't say it's a really widespread mainstream type of story, but it's not like a real hidden story. It's not something that you would only know if you followed politics real closely. But this one, if you've watched Fox News since then, since 2016, you've seen it. And so Seth Rich was an employee of the Democratic National Committee. And I'm going to treat you all like you're a little bit retarded here for a little bit, just so I can make sure everybody's on the same page. I'm sure more of you are going to know about stuff about this than others, so if you've already know what I'm talking about, bear with me. It's gotta make sense to everybody. So, Seth Rich is an employee of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. And if you're not 100% aware of what the DNC is, the DNC is a private company who and a registered political party. But that political party is not a governmental organization. It is has no. Its members play a huge part in the government, but the organization in and of itself has no affiliation with the federal government, with the state government, whatever. So, and this organization is made up of the Democratic Party members, and they elect a president or a chairman, chairwoman, vice chair, all that, all your normal parliamentary positions, and they decide as an organization who they are going to run for president, and much like the Republican National Committee, same thing. And what they do is they handle all the funding and when these candidates fundraise, it all gets funneled to the Democratic National Committee, on for national level races, and on the state level it gets funneled to the state Democratic Party or the state Republican Party, whatever, and then the party itself will decide how it's spent, and it'll divvy up whatever. So that's kind of what they do, and so contrary to popular belief and all this grand spouting about democracy by the Democrats, the Democratic and Republican both presidential primaries are not democratically elected. Each state decides how they are going to assign their delegates to the National Committee or the National Convention, and so some states are winner-take-all states, meaning that whoever wins the plurality of the vote, because most of the time you're not going to have a majority, especially when you got a bunch of candidates in. You're probably not going to have a majority vote, so you got to go with a plurality. So whoever gets the most wins, but it doesn't have to be 50.1%. It has to be just whoever has the most. So right now there's like 20-something candidates still running for president on the Democratic ticket, and you could easily have a winner with only like 15-16% of the vote. I mean, it would not be out of the realm of possibility. There'll probably be somebody who hits in the 40s, I would imagine, but it's pretty wide open. And anyway, so some states are winner-take-all, so meaning if you win with 40% of the vote, you still get 100% of the delegates. And then some are proportional, and so on and so forth. Each state decides it different, and each state decides who can vote in their primary, whether you have to be a registered member or if it's a open primary, where meaning anybody can vote in any primary. It's there's a lot of different ways. And so anyway, this Seth Rich worked for the DNC. And I don't know what his position was, but it just says he was an employee of the Democratic National Committee. And so July 2016, this is when the actual presidential campaign is really heating up, because we just finished the primaries, and so it's official. I think it was official at that point that Trump is is the candidate, and Hillary is the Democratic candidate, and now they're getting ready to go head to head. And so things are things are heating up, and this Seth Rich fella gets murdered, and he gets shot in the back twice. And I don't know how I don't recall the intricate details of how he. I just know he was shot in his apartment twice in the back, but I don't recall if he he died there, if he died at the hospital. My father-in-law says that they had revived him and he was in stable condition, and then came back dead, or they came back to him and he died, or I don't know. That one I'd have to do a little more research on, but that part's kind of irrelevant here. So he dies, and right around the same time, WikiLeaks is dumping a bunch of emails that incriminate the DNC for rigging the primary against Bernie Sanders. So for this story, we've got to go all the way back in the Wayback Machine to an eternity ago, 2008. And if you remember way back then, and some of you may not be that old to have remembered much of it anyways, or to be paying attention to something like that. So, 2008, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are in a very heated presidential primary. And, Hillary Clinton is 8 years removed from being First Lady. And in that meantime, she had been a senator from New York. And she was like the chosen one to be the next Democratic presidential candidate. Because they tried Al Gore in 2000, and he won the popular vote, lost the Electoral College, and then they put up John Kerry the next go around, and he was just a doofus. And so now they're back. George W. is out of office, and it's time to get some new blood in there, and that new blood being extremely old, ice cold blood, Hillary Clinton. Well, then here comes Barack Hussein Obama out of nowhere, and very few people knew who the hell he was, even if you followed politics closely. At the time, I did not. I followed state politics pretty closely because my dad was still in office, but that's about it. So Barack Obama comes out of nowhere, and he is just drawing crowds. He is mesmerizing everybody with his speeches, and the DNC is like, we got our guy here. But there's a problem. Hillary Clinton's supposed to be the next in line. And she's not real happy about this. And, she's kind of a stone cold killer. And if you don't believe me, I mean, just watch her for a little while. She is a lizard person. But anyways, so obviously she's not happy about this, and she the whole Obama birther stuff started with her campaign. That they should question whether or not he was born in the U.S. And Trump kind of ran with it. A lot of the right wing kind of ran with it, that he was a secret Muslim and that he was actually not a U.S. citizen, but that's part of like the Obama derangement syndrome. I'm no fan of Obama, but I try to just call it as I see it, I guess. So anyway, but there's probably still a pretty sizable portion of the right wing who thinks that Obama's a secret Muslim, and was born in Kenya or whatever, you know. But that whole deal started with the Clinton campaign. And so anyway, there had to have been a meeting that took place, and they sat down with her and Barack Obama, and they're like, hey, all right, Hillary, we know, we promised you. I know you had to stay married to Bill Clinton all these years. I know you don't even like penis. We get it. But you've been a loyal servant, and we're gonna get you back. But we got to play the hot hand right now. You know, we're on a heater right now with Barack Obama, and you never get up from the table when you're on a heater. So we're gonna cut you loose on this one. We need you to concede and hand it over to Barack here. And of course, Obama's kind of twiddling his fingers over there, and he's like, okay, listen here, Hillary, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to win this thing. You can lose gracefully and bow out, and I'll make you Secretary of State, and you'll be the next front runner for the Democratic candidate for president. Okay? Now, if you don't, I'm going to bury you, because I'm better than you. I'm a bad motherfucker, and you're kind of creepy. People don't like you. But if you back out now, I will throw my full support behind you in 2016. Okay? And then they must have shook hands or drank the blood of a newly aborted fetus or something along those lines. I don't know what those people in that highest circle, I don't know what their secret rituals are, but I imagine it was not just shaking hands. So, anyway, you know the story from there. Barack Obama goes on to win pretty handily twice. Half the country loves him, half the country hates him, and then he leaves office, kind of a mess, and there you are. In 2016, he is just kind of on autopilot, and so now we got the Republican primary just wrapped up, and there was 17 people on stage. Donald Trump came out of nowhere, took the world by storm, and I would say probably roughly the same type of split that Barack Obama enjoyed. Half the country loved him, half the country hated him. It was similar to that, but half the country hated him. I mean, well, more than half the country, because half of the Republican Party hated him. And all of the Democratic Party hated him. So, and then there was a pretty small number of diehards that really loved Trump. So then there was a small band of folks that really loved them some Donald Trump. Just really loved him. And then there was a whole bunch of people in the middle that was kind of like, nah, I don't know. So on the Democratic side, you had just a small field of candidates. You had one guy whose one of his platforms was switching the U.S. to the metric system. And then you had one guy who was kind of like an old school blue dog Democrat, where he really was pretty moderate, had a fairly decent foreign policy, and really just was not crazy. That pretty well got laughed off the stage. And then you had I think it was like Maryland's governor or something, who was kind of a crackpot. And then you had the stone cold bitch, Hillary Clinton, and then you had Bernie Sanders, this old Jewish socialist who was not even a member of the Democratic Party, if I remember right. I think he has always been independent. He caucuses with the Democrats in the Senate, but he has always been an independent, I believe. And I think even as running for the Democratic presidential candidate. I still believe he was technically an independent. I don't remember for sure, but anyway, Bernie Sanders takes the world by storm, and what was supposed to be just a walk in the park for Hillary Clinton kind of turned into a fight. And now, granted, she had a huge advantage right from the get-go. She had the backing of the Democratic Party, and because of that, that meant she had the superdelegates, nearly all of them. And now, this is going to kind of get into the weeds. We talked about how the DNC decides how they allot their, or each state decides how they allot their delegates, how they're going to vote when they go to this convention. Well, then the DNC throws in a monkey wrench, and they have what they call superdelegates. And these people are either high-ranking party officials or elected officials, senators, congressmen, that sort of thing. And they are not beholden to anybody on how they cast their vote. Well, in theory, they're beholden to the Democratic Party and the donors. So there could be some 6 or 8 term congressman who feels like he's earned his stripes, and they make him a delegate, but they also know they've got him by the purse strings because they've donated a bunch of money to him, and they've taken care of him. So they're like, all right, sucker, here's how you're gonna vote. And he'll be like, well, I don't like that person. And they said, well, do you think we give a shit? This is how you're gonna vote. So that's how the superdelegates work. And Hillary Clinton had all but a handful of the superdelegates. And so Bernie Sanders is starting out from the get-go in the hole. But he goes across the country and he's making these speeches and he's drawing these big crowds of college kids and young people, and a bunch of Bernie bros, and they're feeling the burn because of all the unprotected free sex they're having at these rallies, and also they really kind of like this old Jewish guy. And so we got the Bernie Sanders movement picking up steam, and Hillary's not liking it, and so she's behind the scenes. She's working with the media and the DNC, and she is like, what in the actual fuck is going on here? This is not supposed to be happening. People don't like me. You've gotta. What the fuck is Bernie doing here? Who the fuck invited Bernie? And she, and that's probably pretty close to the exact words that she used. She's been known to be pretty foul-mouthed behind the scenes. So anyway, she's getting all sorts of pissed off. Well, then WikiLeaks starts dumping a bunch of emails that got leaked from the DNC, and what we have in there, we've got Hillary Clinton, her campaign, in contact with CNN, or with Donna Brazile, who works for the DNC, and Donna Brazile is in contact with CNN, and CNN is directly giving these debate questions for Hillary's debate with Bernie. They are giving her the questions ahead of time, and that way she can rehearse for it, gives her a competitive edge over Bernie Sanders, which she desperately needs. And Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks folks, they get a hold of these emails somehow, and they leak them out there, and it's big news. Well, it should have been big news, but with the corporate media being directly involved with it, they did a pretty good job of just kind of glossing over it. And and just moved on with life. So it didn't get near the steam it needed, but enough people heard and understood it that like a lot of Democrats saw that, and they're just like, what in the fuck? Most of them being Bernie Sanders people. Tulsi Gabbard was one of those. She was actually the vice chair of the DNC at the time, and when all this scandal broke out, she was like, what the fuck? I'm out, and she went to go support Bernie full time on his campaign, and just quit the DNC altogether. And there was a lot of people like that. And like I said, the media did a pretty good job of just glossing over it, but enough people saw that it made a difference. And so now you had Bernie kind of not real happy with Hillary. You had Hillary not real happy with whoever leaked this stuff. And it's just kind of a just a clusterfuck on the Democratic side. In the meantime, Trump, being the guy that he is, he seizes on it and just repeats it until your ears bleed. And he is really good at driving a point home. And so he's blasting her with this, and then this Seth Rich fella comes up dead. And so the climate that we're in, immediately it is rumored that he was the person that leaked these emails to WikiLeaks, and that he was the one that had put him there, and that was why he was killed. And it seems plausible. It does. But like I said, I've solved this, and that is not what happened. To figure out what has happened, or what happened there, you have to go to this Trump-Russia collusion thing, which, if you watch the news at all, this is all that has been said and talked about and reported on for the last 3 years. So since 2016, July 31st, 2016, for that matter, to be exact. Just 21 days after Seth Rich was killed, the FBI opens an investigation into the Trump campaign and their dealings with the Russian government, if there were any. Well, when you go look through all the stuff that is available to the public, you'll find that the single instance that sparked this whole investigation was a dossier from a man named Christopher Steele, who was a former British intelligence officer or something. He was a spy. And he was retired, but he was hired by the Jeb Bush campaign originally. It was like some of John McCain's people and Jeb Bush's campaign team had hired this Christopher Steele fella to dig up some dirt on Donald Trump. And dig he did. This is where it comes into the speculation on my part. This is my conspiracy theory on how this whole thing unfolded and why we have had to get this Trump and Russia deal pounded in our head and our ear holes for the last 3 years. This is what started it all. And this is my conspiracy. So Christopher Steele, he gets a big chunk of money from first Jeb Bush, and then once Trump pretty well verbally castrated Jeb Bush on the debate stage and just laughed him out of town, basically. Like, all of his presidential dreams were not just crushed, but they were like the big, what are those eggs, those Russian eggs, that are all painted up all like that. That's one of those eggs. That is that was Jeb Bush's presidential ambitions. He was going to be the third Bush to be president. Well, Donald Trump picked up that big egg, looked at it, kind of spun it on his finger like a basketball, and then dropped it, and then kicked it. And then he picked up the pieces that were broken, and then he smashed them with a ball-peen hammer until it was kind of just dust. And then he pissed on it, and he stirred it all up, made it in, molded it into the shape of a dick, let it dry, and then he fed that dick to Jeb Bush. That's what Donald Trump did to Jeb Bush's presidential aspirations. I mean, that guy will never be elected to anything except maybe like a dog catcher one day, but he'll never be elected to office again. And he has Donald Trump to thank. So, as embarrassed as he got, old Jebby, he still had low energy. Jeb had a little bit of fight left to him. So he hands this research from Mr. Christopher Steele over to the Clinton campaign. So Christopher Steele's out there, and he's digging, and he's been there for a while. I've been at it, uncovered every stone, and he just he looked at it and he said, I've really got nothing. All I can really find out is Trump's kind of an asshole. And everybody knew that already. So he likes Eastern European women. He is not above paying them for sex. But we all knew that already. They've already, they've thrown shit at him. It's not sticking. So he's like, I got nothing. So I'm just going to make some shit up. And he can see him being the Brit. He's kind of I wouldn't say an innocent bystander, but he's kind of a objective third party from somewhat. Meaning, really, he don't care that much. So he's looking at it and he said, well, Jeb Bush really hates Donald Trump, but these Democrats seem to hate him even more. And he's like, I bet I could put anything I wanted to out there, and they would believe it. And so he starts making up this story. This is the British intelligence version of the old stand-up comedy routine, The Aristocrat.
Today's episode is brought to you by Don't Be a Gunsel, more affectionately known as the D-Bags. Mr. Josh Williams has partnered with us on this and has become our main sponsor of the show. And a little bit about Don't Be a Gunsel. This is just right from their description on their page. We are farm, ranch, and rodeo folks who are tired of posers, fakes, and wannabes. So we carved out our own brand with a simple message. Don't be a gunsel. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram, Don't Be a Gunsel, and don'tbeagunsel.com. They've got some hats and some stickers, and then they always share some of the best memes I've seen, so go check them out. Buy some of their merch. If you do, use the promo code BURNINDAYLIGHT and get yourself 10% off. That's BURNINDAYLIGHT. Get yourself 10% off. Get yourself some cool shit. Help a brother out. And so thanks to Don't Be a Gunsel. Go check them out.
So the premise of the Aristocrats is there's a group of people that get asked what they do, and they say they're a performer, and so the person asks, oh, well, what do you perform? And so the setup to the punchline is this group of performers or whatever, they start telling this person what they do in their act, and it how you do it is you just you take all the nastiest things you could think of, or weird or vile, and like you throw it in there, and and the person comes
that's listening becomes more and more horrified at it, and then they, at the end they say, well, what do you call yourselves? And then the punchline is the aristocrats. And it just kind of it's a pretty funny bit when it's told right. So this is Christopher Steele's version of the aristocrats. He is just he's just throwing out there whatever he can possibly think of. Like Trump pissed on the bed of this hotel in Moscow because he knew that Barack Obama was going to be sleeping on that bed when he was visiting Moscow. So Trump had hired a bunch of Russian hookers. That part very believable. But he did so that he can make them piss on a bed that perhaps Barack Obama might be sleeping in, just out of spite. He hated Obama that much, and he didn't like Obama, that's for sure. But it was just a bunch of shit like that, and Christopher Steele was like, I bet they believe this. And then, in the back of his head, he's like, there's no way they're going to believe this. This is fucking bullshit. But he gives it up to him anyways. He serves it up on a platter. And the person he gives it to is none other than Mr. Seth Rich. I have no evidence to support this, but I bet if you dug deep enough, that's what you'd find. Seth Rich gets this Steele dossier, and he's like, holy shit, we're gonna bury him. Hillary for president. She is going all the way. And he takes it to the FBI. The first things first. He doesn't take it to Hillary, doesn't take it to anybody, any of his superiors. He takes it right to the FBI. Hillary Clinton finds out. He finally goes and tells her what he'd done. And she flips the fuck out. She said, you sent this to the FBI. You believed this. And he's like, well, yeah, it was from an intelligence agent officer. And she's like, they fucking lie for a living, right? Oh, well, I didn't think about that. And she is royally pissed because at the time, if you remember, she is under investigation for mishandling classified information while she was Secretary of State by the FBI. So she can't just step in and be like, hey, you might just stop this investigation right now, because it's a conflict of interest. She's already being investigated, so she can't really do anything. Her hands are tied, the ball's already in motion. At that point, the ball's rolling, things are starting to gear up, and so she is just so royally pissed at this Seth Rich fella that she just goes ahead and offs him. Just blap blap. See you later, sucker. And so he's dead. In the meantime, ball's already in motion. It's already rolling. And then the FBI opens this investigation into Trump on July 31st. Even though it was 3 weeks after Seth Rich died. Like I said, things were already in motion, and then it's the federal government. They moved. Snail's pace would probably be their best day. It's about how fast the federal government moves. So they get this investigation going, and Hillary Clinton is like, oh, motherfucker, now I've got to live with this thing. And this sucks because I'm a Democrat, and we always take things to the extreme. So how am I going to take this to the extreme? It's already extreme enough. And, well, as you've seen, they did it. And there you have it, folks. The whole FISA deal was started by Seth Rich because he was a dumb, gullible bastard. And this whole thing is one giant troll by a British intelligence officer. And I am kind of impressed. Bravo to you, Mr. Christopher Steele. You got a man killed, so that kind of sucks, but
It is a pretty big funny joke. Hats off to you, sir. R.I.P. Seth Rich, you gullible bastard.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for me today. Like I said before, you're welcome. I'm glad I provided some clarity to this whole political conspiracy that we've been a part of. And R.I.P. Seth Rich, you gullible bastard. And with that, go find me on Facebook, Matt McKinley, Twitter and Instagram. I'm at MickerMac85. Go follow the Burning Daylight page on Facebook. It's just Burning Daylight. At Burning Daylight on Instagram. At Burning Daylight 2 on Twitter. You can go find my Patreon page, patreon.com/Burning Daylight. I'm Burning Daylight on YouTube and the Open Range app. So go follow me. Go find the show on Apple, Spotify, Google, pretty well everywhere you can get a podcast, you can find me. So go like me, go follow, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. And especially on iTunes, give me a review if you're listening on iTunes. I would greatly appreciate it. And a good review, hopefully. 5-star, preferably. So, anyways, go check out Don't Be a Gunsel on Facebook and Instagram, or don'tbeagunsel.com. Buy a hat or bumper sticker or something and use my promo code. Get 10% off. It's Burning Daylight, all one word. And I hope you have been enjoying the videos. I hope you've been enjoying the interviews. And we'll do some more of both. And we'll just keep on having fun. Keep plugging along. I really enjoy what we got going on. So appreciate it. Y'all be good. Thanks for tuning in. And move your ass. We're Burning Daylight.